So thanks to the grit and resilience and determination of the American people of folks like you, we've been able to clear away the rubble from the financial crisis. We started to lay a new foundation for stronger, more durable economic growth. And it's happening in our own personal lives as well, right? A lot of us tightened our belts, shed debt, maybe cut up a couple of credit cards. Refocused on those things that really matter. As a country, we've recovered faster and gone further than most other advanced nations in the world. With new American revolutions in energy and technology and manufacturing and healthcare. We're actually poised to reverse the forces that battered the middle class for so long. And start building an economy where everyone who works hard can get ahead. And here's the big but, I'm here to tell you today that we're not there yet. We all know that. We're not there yet. We've got more work to do. Even though 'our businesses are creating new jobs and have broken record profits. 'Nearly all the income gains of the past 10 years have continued to flow to the top 1%. The average CEO has gotten a raise of nearly 40% since 2009. The average American earns less than he or she did in 1999. And companies continue to hold back on hiring those who've been out of work for some time. Today, more students are earning their degree, but soaring costs saddle them with unsustainable debt. Healthcare costs are slowing down, but a lot of working families haven't seen any of those savings yet. The stock market rebound helped a lot of families get back much of what they had lost in their 401(k)s. But millions of Americans still have no idea how they're going to be able to retire. So in many ways, the trends that I spoke about here in 2005, 8 years ago, the trend of a winner-take-all economy where a few are doing better and better and better. While everybody else just treads water, those trends have been made worse by the recession. And that's a problem. This growing inequality not just of result. Inequality of opportunity. This growing inequality is not just morally wrong, it's bad economics. Because when middle-class families have less to spend, guess what? Businesses have fewer consumers. When wealth concentrates at the very top, it can inflate unstable bubbles that threaten the economy. When the rungs on the ladder of opportunity grow farther and farther apart. It undermines the very essence of America, that idea that if you work hard you can make it here. And that's why reversing these trends has to be Washington's highest priority. It has to be Washington's highest priority. It's certainly my highest priority. Unfortunately, over the past couple of years, in particular, Washington hasn't just ignored this problem. Too often, Washington has made things worse. And I have to say that because I'm looking around the room, I've got some friends here, not just who are Democrats. I've got some friends here who are Republicans and I worked with in the state legislature, and they did great work. But right now, what we've got in Washington, we've seen a sizable group of Republican lawmakers suggest that they wouldn't vote to pay the very bills that Congress rang up. And that fiasco harmed a fragile recovery in 2011, and we can't afford to repeat that. Then, rather than reduce our deficits with a scalpel by cutting out programs we don't need, fixing ones that we do need that maybe are in need of reform, making government more efficient instead of doing that. We've got folks who've insisted on leaving in place a meat cleaver called the sequester that's cost jobs. It's harmed growth. It's hurt our military. It's gutted. Investments in education and science and medical research. Almost every credible economist will tell you it's been a huge drag on this recovery. And it means that we're underinvesting in the things that this country needs to make it a magnet for good jobs. Then, over the last 6 months, this gridlock has gotten worse. I didn't think that was possible. The good news is a growing number of Republican senators are. Looking to join their Democratic counterparts and try to get things done in the Senate. So that's good news. For example, they worked together on an immigration bill that economists say will boost our economy by more than $1 trillion, strengthen border security, make the system work. But you've got a faction of Republicans in the House who won't even give that bill a vote. And that same group gutted a farm bill that America's farmers depend on. But also America's most vulnerable children depend on. And if you ask some of these folks, some of these folks mostly in the House. About their economic agenda, how it is that they'll strengthen the middle class, they'll shift the topic to out-of-control government spending. Despite the fact that we've cut the deficit by nearly half as a share of the economy since I took office. Or they'll talk about government assistance for the poor. Despite the fact that they've already cut early education for vulnerable kids. They've already cut insurance for people who've lost their jobs through no fault of their own. Or they'll bring up Obamacare. This is tried and true. Despite the fact that our businesses have created nearly twice as many jobs in this. Recovery as businesses had at the same point in the last recovery when there was no Obamacare. Audience member, my daughter has insurance now. President Obama, I appreciate that. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. That's what we've been fighting for. But with this endless parade of distractions and political posturing and phony scandals. Washington has taken its eye off the ball. And I am here to say this needs to stop. This needs to stop. This moment does not require short-term thinking. It does not require having the same old stale debates. Our focus has to be on the basic economic issues that matter most to you, the people we represent. That's what we have to spend our time on and our energy on and our focus on. And as Washington prepares to enter another budget debate, the stakes for our middle class and everybody who is fighting to get into the middle class could not be higher. The countries that are passive in the face of a global economy. Those countries will lose the competition for good jobs. They will lose the competition for high living standards. That's why America has to make the investments necessary to promote long-term growth and shared prosperity, rebuilding our manufacturing base, educating our workforce. Upgrading our transportation systems, upgrading our information networks. That's what we need to be talking about. That's what Washington needs to be focused on. And that's why, over the next several weeks, in towns across this country, I will be engaging the American people in this debate. I'll lay out my ideas for how we build on the cornerstones of what it means to be middle class in America. And what it takes to work your way into the middle class in America. Job security, with good wages and durable industries. A good education. That's what we need to be focused on. Now, some of these ideas I've talked about before. Some of the ideas I offer will be new. Some will require Congress. Some I will pursue on my own. Some ideas will benefit folks right away. Some will take years to fully implement. But the key is to break through the tendency in Washington to just bounce from crisis to crisis. What we need is not a 3-month plan, or even a 3-year plan. We need a long-term American strategy, based on steady, persistent effort. to reverse the forces that have conspired against the middle class for decades. That has to be our project. Now, of course, we'll keep pressing on other key priorities. I want to get this immigration bill done. We still need to work on reducing gun violence. We've got to standing up for civil rights. We've got to stand up for women's rights. So all those issues are important, and we'll be fighting on every one of those issues. But if we don't have a growing, thriving middle class, then we won't have the resources to solve a lot of these problems. We won't have the resolve. The optimism, the sense of unity that we need to solve many of these other issues. Now, in this effort, I will look to work with Republicans as well as Democrats wherever I can. And I sincerely believe that there are members of both parties who understand this moment. Understand what's at stake, and I will welcome ideas from anybody across the political spectrum. But I will not allow gridlock, or inaction, or willful indifference to get in our way. That means whatever executive authority I have to help the middle class, I'll use it. Where I can't act on my own and Congress isn't cooperating, I'll pick up the phone, I'll call CEOs. I'll call philanthropists, I'll call college presidents, I'll call labor leaders. I'll call anybody who can help and enlist them in our efforts. Because the choices that we, the people, make right now will determine whether or not every American has a fighting chance in the 21st century. and it will lay the foundation for our children's future, our grandchildren's future, for all Americans.